Hello gamers, it's SoftKitty99 and today we're in Parkitect Taste of Adventure and we're playing through the scenario campaigns. Today the scenario is Candyland. This candy-themed amusement park operates on an all-inclusive basis. Guests pay for entry, but all food and rides are free. Now that's important, that all food is also free, so you can't make money on the food. Use the income from admissions to further develop the park. Scenario: have at least 600 guests in your park. Optional: have at least 4 coasters in your park with an excitement rating of 60 or above. Optional: have an experiences rating of at least 85%. Optional: complete all goals without using any tracked ride blueprints, so that means you have to build all track rides yourself if you want to get the gold star. And optional: complete all non-optional goals by the end of March Year 3. And when I did my playthrough, I did attempt to do all the optionals, and as you can see I didn't get the gold medal, but I think I made a pretty good attempt at it personally. So let me show you the park that I built and you can decide if you think I did a good job. So because it's Candyland, let's go for a candy theme and stick with the sort of bright and soft colours that you see on candy. Like you see, the theming that they had at the beginning was kind of soft pinks. So I've kind of used that sort of idea in my build. So you can see I'm used licorice for my little fences at the sides of my paths. So here is where your guests will enter your park. I love these streetlight lollipops, that is so cute and cool. So this is where your guests come in here, and this is where your goods are going to be delivered here. And these two buildings that the park starts with, that they've built for us using this Candyland theme, I think these are absolutely fantastic. I mean, look at this. There's this big cake which is very like the one that you saw on the starting screen as you start to load the scenario. And look at this, these little hearts and cookies and things on your clock tower. So instead of a clock face you've got cookies. I just love it. I think they've done an absolutely fantastic job. And then again you've got a chocolate and sort of cream cake on top of the goods in depot over here. Look, I just think that is absolutely beautiful. And the marshmallows on the roof and stuff, I just think it's cute. So I just kind of thought, let's stick with that kind of idea. And these candy floss trees, look, so I've added a few of the candy floss trees here to kind of hide or semi-hide our backstage area. When you first log into the game, you've already got the tourbillon, which they've called the marzipan mix, as part of your park. So when you first start, this tourbillon is already up, and as you can see on the sign, let me just go around a little bit, they've built it up on like a rocky outcropping, and they've used this sort of layered effect on the terrain so that it kind of looks a bit like a cake instead of just plain rock face. So I kind of like what they've done there. And all I've done to the tourbillon is just add the licorice fencing around to get rid of the boring little metal and wooden fences that it starts with. So I've just added these, and I've used the same colour that they already had on the ride to make the fence match the ride, so it's quite clear about which ride you're on. And then in general around the place I've used one type of fencing. I've used this sort of white and light pink with the chocolate supports in the licorice. So there's the licorice fencing. Let's see if I can give you a closer look at the licorice fence. I think it's really good for a candy theme. And also when you first start you've got a coaster also. So you see this coaster that goes underneath the path. So as you guests come in here, this coaster goes underneath the path, which actually makes it quite difficult to expand the starting section of your park because this ride goes underground. This is the coaster that the game begins with a loop, look, and it goes underneath the paths here. Nice interaction with the paths and things, and then it loops around here. So it's a flawless coaster you can see there, and it loops around here. So the station building is here, look, and it's quite a simple station building. This is the one that they built for you, so it's just got a cream and a load of little hearts on a chocolate block roof with just some simple pillared supports and some zigzags around it, and this is the coaster that the game comes with. So when you first start, you've got the two buildings at the entrance, the one that your guests come in through and your goods in department. You've got this tourbillon and you've got this big coaster that loops around here and out over the water here, and so it goes underneath a few times. So it goes underneath here where you've got the queue to go into the coaster, and then you can see it as kind of a skyline thing as you start the park. So those two things are there when you start. So let me show you what I added. So here I've added a sort of cookie wall and cookie roof little building, and inside that we've got our staff building, and then I've just used the chocolate fencing to kind of hide the backstage from the guests, and then added a few of these beautiful cotton candy trees again to help hide this backstage area. And the backstage area comes out into the park up this hill through this little tiny building right here, so that the staff then can just cross the entrance hallway into the little building where we've got some food and drink. So what I've got is a vending machine, a cookie booth and some bubble tea. Now remember that all the food that you give out in this park is not paid for by the guests, so you do need to give them some food, but you don't want to encourage them to eat tons and tons of food because that's going to cut into your profits. So it's kind of a bit of a balancing act between the staff selling too much food and the guests being hungry. So it makes it kind of interesting as a scenario idea. So again, I've used that cookie theme, so I've just got plain cookie walls and this pretty sort of gingerbready style roofing. So it kind of reminds me of a bit of a Christmas gingerbread house. So you see they use some of this sort of biscuit thing on the edge of this building coming in, and they've used these chocolate doors. So using that kind of theme I just thought would fit quite nicely for this little vendor area. And of course we've got an information kiosk, and then we've put a little bit of decoration around the tunnel for the coaster that the game came with. And then I've added this 2 toilet block over here, and again we've used this cookie idea. We've used the bordering along the edge in this little icing blobs, and then added some cream and some cherries on top, which leads us to the tourbillon, which again came with the game pre-built. So I've just packed all of this into the very small entrance area, so that's as much as I could fit of a main street without trying to terraform lots of areas, because see the coaster is really close to the back of this building and it goes right under here, so I couldn't really extend the road any further because that would have then backed this building straight into the coaster, which wouldn't have been good. Now from this point near the toilets you can go this way into the tourbillon. Though having said into the tourbillon, this is actually the exit for the tourbillon, the entrance is round the corner. But to get into the park, the guests need to come down through this little tunnel here, which leads you then into a two-way junction. You can go across the water on this bridge, or you can head around here, which is the entrance to the tourbillon right there, and the entrance to the pre-built coaster here. And then the exit from the coaster comes out where the entrance to the tourbillon is, and the path keeps going in this direction. So you've got two routes you can go across the water in this way. So we're going to follow round because it's a big loop. The next ride that I've added is the bumper cars. So you go in on the blue lines and you come back out on the beigey tracks, which kind of match the main path. So the main path is like brick path, and then the queue rides and the exit from the rides are all in this herringbone pattern. So let me zoom in so you can see. So we've used this herringbone brick pattern on the queues in and out of rides, and then straight blocks on the main paths. And here you can see these little lollipop lights. I love these little lollipop lights. I think they're really cool. See, I can't speak. I always get at least one word wrong, don't I? And then the bench, look, it's like I can't remember the name for these sweets, but it's like a candy or licorice outside with cream or something in the centre. Look, I remember eating something very similar to that as a child, but I can't remember what they were called. I just think it's cute that all the fittings are like that. And then the bins. Have you seen the bins? Look, they're licorice all sorts. So you've got the ones with the jelly one with all the little tiny sparkly things on it, and then you've got the little licorice 3-layer things, and then one of those little round coconutty ones with the licorice in centre on top. I just think that's so cool. This bridge here with the licorice strips, this was already pre-built in the game. The bridges were pre-built in the game, and I haven't changed the location of the main path that circles all the way around the park either from where it starts, just in case you were wondering about that. So again, this is the pre-built coaster, which is the main feature of your park. So if we keep following the path around, what I've tried to do is use the whole size of the park and just keep adding rides strategically along it so that you don't go too far without there being a ride. And we've added the bumper boats here out onto the lake so they can go around. There's the edge of our territory here. And there was these little feature like cookie cake things along the side of the water, and I just thought that would be quite nice right next to the bumper boats. And I didn't do any more decoration around here because I completed the scenario before I had chance to, so I just popped the pavilions on top in that sort of light pink that matches the design of the whole scenario. Next to there I've added another one of those double toilet buildings, just like the one we had by the entrance building. Keep coming round, still got a great view of this coaster. Another pre-built bridge. This time you can see this one's brown, so each of the pre-built bridges has a different colour of the licorice around it, which I think is a nice touch in the scenario builders. And then if we come over here, you can see where I've added a coaster, and I built this myself, so I'm actually quite pleased with it. So let us follow the coast around. So I've built a station building that's similar to the one that we saw on the pre-built one, with just open pillars and then a flat roof in that chocolate design, though I've changed the colour to pink here, and then just added a bit of decoration on the top. So it's a wooden coaster. It's the new one that can go upside down. There you see we've got the little twist upside down, and there at the back we've got a loop, and then we just got some bunny hills up and down, double down there, and a swizzle back into the station. I want to thank everybody that gave me comments about how to make it easier to build, and the fact that on the building page you can actually see ways to see where your lateral forces and your speed and stuff is. I just want to thank people for giving me that information because it actually really helped, and as you can see I think I've done a much better job of building this particular coaster than I did before. So let me show you. We come in here, come up to the level of the station, the queue building comes around here, and we've got the track here, and then the track comes up onto the lift hill right next to the station, so this has to be open to give clearance for the track to come out. And then if we swizzle round to the back, as you come off the coaster you come down the steps here and then underneath the structure back out onto the main building, so you get lots of interaction with the other side of the coaster as you come in and out, and people can see how things are going. So apparently I'm going bankrupt. That seems very strange. Did I take loans out on this one? Yes I did, and I didn't repay them. So there you go. If we were going to keep I think we need to increase the price a little bit and hope that people will be happy with that. So I think the scenario started us at £30 and I don't think I ever changed it. So let's see what happens, shall we? So as I said, the station's got just open supports. I've used those support poles that look like licorice swirls here, look. And I've got pieces of chocolate half wall around the edge of the station and the up and down into the building with the licorice fences again. And then on top here we've used a flat, oh no I didn't use the chocolate on the top here, look, see I've used chocolate around the side, and on the top we've used one of those flat traditional roofs with some cakes and some cream and some strawberries in order to just decorate it up a little bit. And opposite our wooden coaster we have one of the new rides, the Experience, a spinning and inverting thrill ride that lifts guests up before flipping them over. So that's what that one is. So this is now annoying me. I want to try and rescue my park, but I'm not sure how. You see, this is one of the problems with not being able to charge for food, is that the people will take a bit of advantage. So let's keep coming round. Next to that we've got another one of these double toilet blocks, and we had this little tiny goods in department when the game started with a bubble tea and a candy vendor. So this was already in when we started. So again, we've got to keep people hydrated and give them something that they can eat to try and keep their experiences happy. But as you can see, it's really easy to lose all of your money. I have to try and sort this out, this bankruptcy thing. I don't like it. I will be back. So here's where we were. We were by the new Experiences ride and the little goods department where you can get candy and bubble tea, and then the toilet block that I added. And if you keep continuing around the park, you now come to the way in to the second coaster that the park itself came with, the Fondant Flare State. So the optional goal asks you to have 4 coasters with an experience rating of over 60 in your park. The nice thing about this is it gives you 2 when you start, so you just need 2 extras if you want to go for that optional goal. So this is the second of the coasters that the game starts with, which is why you can't really close down this huge loop of a pathway. So that huge loop of a path adds a little bit of difficulty to the scenario itself. So here's the train. That's quite a big loop, isn't it, there? So this uses the terrain you see going up and down and round. And it loops around here, right next to the what do you call it? The simulator, that's it, that's what it's called, the simulator, which is also in when the scenario started. So there's a really nice interaction between these 2 rides, and I quite like this pavilion here above the simulator. It's like a bandstand-esque sort of design, I think, and the design for the second coaster, the building itself is very similar to the first one, look, so it's just simple supports, some licorice around the edges, and the chocolate blocks for your roof, and then a few sweets as decoration. So let's keep coming around. This is the exit there, so keep coming round that big long path, which brings you now to the motion simulator. So the way in is there and the way out is here, and then I've added the flying carpet right next to that, so the way in is here and the way out is there. And of course you can see everything I've changed into this sort of soft candy pinks and blues colour to make everything happy. Oh, there you go, I've completed another goal. That's cool. That's interesting. I seem to have pulled back an older save to get the bankruptcy thing off the screen. I've pulled up an older save. Now for the teacups, I decided it ought to be underneath a support structure. So you can see I've added the teacups themselves and I've built them up on a platform, and I've used that cookie cake design again. This time I've turned it all pink so that the whole building becomes those soft pink and blue colours, and this time I've changed the icing colours for the borders that I've used and the doorways and things, just to make them all this sort of soft blended in scenario sort of thing. So I've made it into like a layered effect. So the queue is on one level, the roof for where the ride is on a second level, and then I've just added a centre section even taller, and all of these are doorways, so it's nice and open to let the air through, but it also gives them a nice covered cosy effect on the ride itself. So keep going round. We now come to a top scan. I'm just going to tip up and turn everybody upside down, and again that's built up on one of these platforms. So this one's pink and this one's now blue. As you can see, this is a pink and blue, and then this has got blue and yellow with pink stripes coming up and down, just to make the colours a little bit variable. So this one's a lot softer, and then this one's a bit brighter. And then opposite that, I've built my second coaster. Again, I've used the same sort of ideas for the design for the station. I've used the licorice and the cake to make the building. Just the supports of those twists again. I've used the chocolate blocks for the roof, made them a paler colour this time, and decorated with hearts and marshmallows. So let's follow the coaster. There we go. So it comes up on a big lift hill, does a bit of a drop, goes into an immediate turn, upside down. You can hear them all screaming. Half loop upside down, little tunnel, little wiggle back to the station. And I'm pretty happy with that myself. Again, I'm really pleased with what I ended up building. And that, I think, is pretty much my park, because if you just follow it back, we are now at that bridge right next to the entranceway again. So that is the park that I built for the Candyland scenario, which did give me a completion. I did build 4 coasters with the correct ratings, and as you know, I didn't manage to get the gold medal, but I did manage to get my 4 coasters, which makes me super happy, and I'm really pleased with what I've ended up with, because I think it's actually really cute, and I love the colour schemes, and this candy theme I really like. I think I might consider playing with that when I get round to building my own park design. So I hope that you've enjoyed today's episode, and I hope this gives you some ideas for your own playthrough of this scenario. As you can see, there's a lot of open space, but there's not an awful lot of flat space. So if you're good at building coasters, you've got a lot of things to play with. And the scenario does also come with a log flume, so you could try building a log flume into the water and stuff and using the terrain with it, which probably would have been the next thing I would have tackled if it hadn't managed to complete. So I hope you've enjoyed today's episode. Please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. From SoftKitty99, goodbye and happy gaming!